to Salisbury and Sweetnam Sports Podcast. We do a podcast about sport, so it'll come as no surprise that we're going to talk about sport. Welcome aboard, James.
We've been doing that intro now for, I think this is the 19th week, and I'm surprised you couldn't have come up with anything slightly more advanced than that, but hey-ho, this is where we are now.
It's getting pretty difficult to keep sort of churning out real quality, amusing introductions, which I keep churning out, actually.
Yeah, you're such a witty, innovative fellow. But anyway, moving on from that bizarre introduction, yes, we went to the Manchester Arena to watch Tyson Fury, and we will get into that slightly later on in the show. But firstly, Adam, I like to put a topic together every week just to start the show, get us on a nice little note. I was limited this week, but NASA have announced that they found some signs of possible life on Mars. Now, have you spent your younger years always wondering, are we the only people in the universe?
I haven't, no, because I'm not a space freak like yourself.
I love space, I love planets, and they always pop up in my quizzes.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah. So if there are any Martians on Mars, I'd like to hear from them. Say hello, and hopefully they say hello back, and they come in peace.
What's the currency on Mars?
Mars money.
Yes, and if you don't know where that story's come from, you'll never know.
No. Anyway, moving on from the minibus to Mars saga that occurred in our group a while back. The world of sport has got the biggest event, which occurs every 4 years. I don't think it really gets bigger than this in sport. It's the World Cup. It's back. Adam, are you excited?
I'm excited to a certain extent, yeah. I enjoy the World Cup. However, unpopular opinion time, and I hate these unpopular opinion tweets, by the way, but I am going to offer what is quite an unpopular opinion. The World Cup is overrated.
You're dehydrated. You're discombobulated. Where has that come from?
You've got problems. Anyway, yeah.
The World Cup is overrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're mad?
No, I am, as you'll know, somewhat of a club man, really. But when England play, I get really revved up and enjoy watching England play. However, other nations, I just can't sit down and watch it. I can't watch, say, Spain versus Croatia. It offers absolutely nothing to me necessarily. So hence why it's overrated in my opinion. Plus England have never been successful in it.
Yeah, but they won it in 1966.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, in my lifetime.
Well, yeah, in your lifetime. But at the same time, Preston North End have had minimal success in your lifetime.
Well, 2 promotions, 1 world title, 2 playoff losses. You know, it's been
losses.
Slightly better than England, yeah.
It's not been better than England. England have been playing
it's been better
at a higher standard.
It's been better than England.
North End have been at championship level.
North End have been more successful than England over my lifetime. End of. More silverware. End of.
More silver. What silverware have they had in your lifetime?
They've won the Nationwide and Division 1 title.
What's that?
And the
The Nationwide Division 1 title?
Yeah, it's a League 1.
Who cares about that?
And also the League 1 playoff final winners.
Yep. Something
Championship playoff
that puts
final
you at the pinnacle
losers,
of football.
2001 and
Look,
2005.
England are in and around the top 10 nations in the world.
Let's look at England. Useless in 2002. 2004 with an unbelievable squad, which was cheated out of it really by Portugal. 06 useless. 07
quarter-finals, top 8 in the world.
Couldn't even qualify for the European Championships in 2008. 2010 World Cup was abysmal. USA, Robert Green, that particular mistake, and then the
don't be harsh on Rob.
Infamous Lampard goal.
Because Rob had an exceptional game that day.
2012 Euros lost on penalties to Italy, more heartbreak. 2014 couldn't even get out the group, which was pathetic. Drew to Costa Rica, nil apiece. 2016 knocked out by Iceland. That is an abysmal record of my lifetime watching the national football team.
But you're still an advocate that it's coming home this year.
Absolutely.
Right, so we've gone full circle.
I firmly believe we will win the World Cup.
Right, so get behind us.
No, of course I'm behind us. I've always said when England play I get revved up. However, the World Cup's overrated. It won't be overrated if we go on and win it though.
Right.
It's just my sort of theory.
You can't call something overrated though because we've not
is
particularly had sex. It's a brilliant competition.
It's an
all the countries in the world. This generates more interest than any other sporting event in the world.
Spot on, other than arguably the Olympics. But yeah.
Arguably, yeah, but come on. The Olympics, football, Come on.
No, yeah, I completely agree with that. Yes, but for me, club football over international. But I still get excited to watch England in major competitions. However, as is known across the nation, they tend to let us down, unfortunately.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to go through each group. We'll discuss them and just basically say who we believe has got a bit of potential. So Group A.
I think Italy will win it, better. Ah! Jokes, they're not even there.
Yeah, well done to you. Anyway, Group A. Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Uruguay. For me, I'd imagine Uruguay top the group, and without Mo Salah, the Russians come in second.
And Mo Salah is with Egypt.
Oh, he is with Egypt. He's made it. Interesting.
But I think Russia still do it. Absolutely. No, yeah, Uruguay top, Egypt second. Not Egypt, Russia.
Yeah. Group B. Portugal, Spain, Morocco, Iran.
Spain and Portugal top two. Spain top, Portugal second.
Yeah, Portugal comes second and hopefully have a really good run in this World Cup. A really good run. I, of course, being a man who picked them to win the Euro 2016, I was told I was mad. I was right. Yeah, come on, the Portuguese. Good side.
James is actually a Portugal man over England, which is highly controversial. He was supporting Portugal Euros 2004 against England. What a disgusting man he is.
It was the World Cup 2006.
It's the same competition in my eyes. It's more disappointment.
It's not the same competition. But anyway, yeah, I wouldn't say I support them over England, but I do have a soft spot for the Portuguese.
You support Portugal?
I do support Portugal alongside England and Ireland as my three nations. Did a presentation on Portugal in year one and have supported them ever since. I think they'll do really, really well. Group C, France, Australia, Peru and Denmark. I think France should relatively comfortably top this group, with probably Denmark coming in second.
Yeah, most likely. Would not be surprised to see Peru finish runner-up either. Australia haven't taken Bailey Wright, which is quite amusing. Bailey Wright left North End to sort of get into the Premier League with Bristol and also play national football. Unlucky Bailey Wright. Never mind.
Anyway, moving on to Group D. It's the Argentinians, Iceland, Croatia and Nigeria. Those two countries, Argentina and Iceland, of course. A lot of heartbreak for England. Who do you think qualifies in this competitive group? Me personally, Argentina top, Croatia second, Nigeria probably could qualify, but I'm going to go for third, and Iceland in fourth.
Yes, it's an extremely competitive group. Iceland probably the form team going into that. So for me, it will be Iceland top, Argentina second.
Iceland
Croatia
top?
third. Iceland have had a fantastic couple of years. A really decent side, actually. I think they'll top the group. Argentina second, Croatia third, Nigeria
I think the quality of the Argentinian side should be enough for them to win that group.
In attack, yeah.
Anyway, Group E. Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, Serbia. I'm going to go for the Brazilians to top it, and for it to be a competitive sort of few games between the other nations, but I'd go for Switzerland to come second.
Yeah, Brazil and Serbia for me. Two pretty good sides.
Group F. Germany, Mexico, Sweden, South Korea. I think the Germans will run home in this group, and the Mexicans will come second.
I saw a hilarious interview, actually. Ibrahimovic absolutely livid that he was omitted from the Swedish World Cup side. But yes, I think... Who's in that group, sorry?
Germany, Mexico, Sweden, South Korea.
Yeah, Germany and Sweden, most probably, for me.
Moving on to Group G. Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and it's our boys, it's England. I'm going to say England top the group and Belgium come in second.
Couldn't agree more. Come on, the Lions.
Group H, probably the weakest group so far. Actually, definitely the weakest group so far, but it should be competitive. Poland, Senegal, Colombia, Japan. I see Colombia top in this group, with the Polish in second.
I think Poland are a pretty decent side. Lewandowski obviously being the star name. So for me, Poland top the group, probably Colombia second. Yeah, but yeah, competitive group, absolutely.
Yeah, so obviously you're picking England to win the World Cup this year, but have you got any other sort of picks, people who you think you'll go far, and maybe a dark horse pick in this competition?
Obviously France have got a terrific side. Germany, world champions. Argentina have got a good side too. But of course, my dark horses are Iceland.
Iceland, so with the
Who've had a terrific couple of years. I think they're unbeaten in like 20 matches. So, and they topped their qualifying group, I think. So yeah, a pretty good side, Iceland, and they deserve every success they have.
I probably make the Germans favourite. I think England have got a decent chance this year. I say that every time they go into it. Well, a lot of times we go into international competitions. Not always. Sometimes the faith isn't there. But this time it is. I think they can do well. Always back the Portuguese. I think they'll do well. At least get into like the quarterfinals, semi-finals, that sort of region. And dark horse pick. Who can I see doing well? It's tough. I don't see... If Nigeria can scrape for that group, always like to root for an African side.
I put pretty decent money on Nigeria being rock bottom of that group. However,
you forget that I was at Blackburn Rovers today. Yakubu scored 4 goals.
Yeah, the issue is Yakubu isn't playing.
He is, but he's with them in spirit.
And neither is Akocha, JJ Akocha, the Bolton legend. He's also not with Nigeria, so that's another issue. However, with regards to England, it's the first time ever that I've got into a World Cup in my lifetime, and I have trusted a manager. I think we've got a phenomenal manager, and I can just picture Gareth with that trophy, lifting it aloft, that Jules Rimet shiny, snogging it. And I will have tears drooling down my face. Come on, Gareth.
Really emotional message. I hope that will be the inspiration that will guide England to World Cup glory. Anyway, there's been other big news in the world of football, and there's been a very controversial story surrounding David Beckham impregnating his daughter's mathematics teacher. Adam, may you elaborate?
I don't know how I could possibly elaborate on that, other than the fact that, rumours swirling all over Twitter this week. And for me, I'd be highly surprised. I look at David and see a really sort of loyal family man. I'd be surprised if he was like doing the times tables with Harper's maths teacher. That's for sure. But if he has, what a disgusting act it is. I hate adultery, as you know.
Yeah, we never support adultery.
No. So, if it is
and neither
true...
does Peter Barlow, who went on to cheat on Carla.
Yeah.
After he made such a big deal about Leanne getting with Nick. Coronation Street references in the World Cup section for you.
Yeah, so... Well done, Peter.
Well, not necessarily well done.
Awful well done. Awful, Peter. You cheat.
And it's actually like father like son, because I believe Ken Barlow once cheated on Deirdre with a woman who lived in a boat.
Absolutely, on a barge, yeah. And also surrounding the family, Simon Barlow.
Oh, interesting. I heard this.
Off the cobbles, has impregnated a female.
At the age of 16.
So well done to Simon. He's become a little shit in the programme, actually, Simon.
Well, the last I heard, he was beating up Leanne and stuff like that. It's a shame, because back in the day, Simon seemed a bit of an innocent child. But I remember him getting extremely intoxicated at about the age of 11 and ending up in hospital. So he's always had that wild child side.
Yes, absolutely. However, he once saved his dad after his dad set the flat alight. So I've sort of got time for Simon. I remember that when he was drunk and
vaguely.
And dropped a fag on the car.
Yes, I do remember it. Yeah,
and it went up in flames.
Yeah,
a really emotional night on the cobbles, but one that everybody came through to be safe and sound.
And hopefully Simon Barlow can step up and look after the child. Good luck to him.
Yes, hopefully he can support the child, which we advocate here.
I'll tell you what we also support. Charity. Soccer Aid is on tonight. Adam, are you looking forward to seeing some celebrities mix it with some legends?
Well, considering we're recording during Soccer Aid, no, I don't tend to watch it. However, it's quite amusing when Jose Mourinho went and tripped up that
Ollie Murs.
That Ollie Murs on the pitch. Also, hilarious interview with Eric Cantona. The interviewer asked him, mentioned that Jose Mourinho tripped someone up, and would you be willing to do the same thing? And Cantona just replied with, I'd drop kick to hooligan. Trademark Eric.
He's not lying. So anyway, Johnny Evans has signed for Leicester. What do you make of that career move?
Well, considering West Brom turned a bit down from Arsenal mid-season, I think it's slightly disappointing for Johnny Evans, but he's remained in the Premier League, and he's a Premier League defender. I think he's a very, very good player. So well done, Johnny. Other than when he's stealing taxis in Barcelona. That's not good.
No, we never support the abduction of a taxi. And I'll tell you what, who else has abducted a taxi? The original fake taxi has been stolen. I saw that on social media.
You're joking?
Yeah, the original.
Where you going, lav?
Yeah. Yeah, he won't be able to say that anymore, as his taxi is currently on the black market, I presume.
It's covered in spoons, though, you'd imagine.
More than likely, yes. Anyway, moving on to a Huddersfield signing. They've made the signature of Congolo, so well done to them.
Yes, well done.
Congratulations, Huddersfield.
Really well done to Huddersfield.
So moving on to the sport of the sweet science, it's boxing. Now, our weekend on Saturday, we managed to avoid the youth hooligans who come out in Penwortham once a year for the day of Penwortham Gala by going to Manchester for Tyson Fury versus Sefer Safari. Now, we arrived, Nando's, into the arena, big card. We'll start with the main event first. Firstly, before Tyson came in, I thought the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. A lot of people came out to support him. And Don't Look Back in Anger was sensational.
Went absolutely off, yeah. A tribute to a certain extent to the bombing that took place in the MEN, but nonetheless went absolutely off. A classic in Manchester, and BT's own Barry Jones went absolutely off to this song. Arms aloft, lungs filled with air, blasting out the Oasis classic. So yeah, went off. I really enjoyed the song.
I did as well. So then Tyson entered, and it was a bit bizarre that the day had finally come. You said yourself in the arena, I can't believe this is actually here. And he walked out to a medley of songs. He started with Don't Call It a Comeback.
Yes.
And then moved on to Because I Got High.
Yeah, that was highly amusing.
Yeah, basically just telling the story of... The whole introduction was just the story of his battle from, starting the comeback and then obviously having in a battle with his demons where he was taking drugs, so obviously the reference to Because I Got High. And then the return of the Mac, which has been his anthem throughout his recovery and the workouts he's been doing in Spain with Ben Davison. He's back on track, and the atmosphere was incredible. The Manchester fans really got behind him, and it was quite emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tyson Fury being himself and really having a real laugh at his own expense to a certain extent. However, everyone was relieved to see the king of the heavyweight division return. Yes, it's a great story. From depression to come back is fantastic. So well done to the Furious One.
Yeah, like you say, it's an inspiration to anyone who's currently battling their demons. We know that that's a very horrible time for people. We have a great deal of sympathy for people going through that particular issue, and we'll dive a little deeper into that when we discuss another boxer who it's been revealed who also has depression. But yeah, back in the ring, incredible achievement. Just getting back in the ring's absolutely magnificent. Never mind winning back the world titles. But he took on Sefer Safari. What did you make of the main event?
Yeah, it was a bit of a laughing stock, really. Obviously, Safari wasn't brilliant. I didn't want Fury to go in with anyone who was remotely dangerous. It's a comeback fight, 2.5 years out the ring, 2 stone heavier to that of what he was 2 years ago when he last got into the ring. So I was glad to see that Safari was never going to trouble him. And the end was a bit of a joke. But ultimately, Fury's got 4 rounds under his belt, and hopefully he can carry on stacking up these rounds and hopefully get back to the level where we know he is. He can be.
So yeah, like you say, a lot of showboating, which entertained the crowd for a certain extent. Sefer didn't overly want to fight, and he pulled out, which I thought was, bit of a quit. Don't like to see that. It would have been nice to see Fury get a few more rounds in, because I believe he was going to go through the gears, but he didn't get the opportunity to do that. You noticed in the crowd, you said you could feel the tension burning, and you certainly were right, because an excellent brawl broke out in the crowd. People in vests taking on people in shirts in a battle of the fans.
Yes, I could sense hence the tension rising in the arena. And actually just made a comment to James that, to be fair, the violence hasn't been too bad tonight. There wasn't too many fracasses around the arena. However, I looked over to my left and saw punches flailing, multiplying like a virus. There must have been about 25 on 25. I reckon Travellers involved, of course. One bloke was in a vest right in the middle.
Actually, on the video, there was a few in vests.
Yeah, hurling blows. So, most probably organised. No time for it in the sport, but relatively entertaining all the same.
There was it was relatively insane. Even the Furious one was watching himself, rather than paying attention to what Sefa was doing. But yeah, it seemingly was like 25 on 25, but taking turns to have one-on-ones. So 2 people running punch, then another 2 running punch, etc., etc., and then kick, and then elbow. So it really did get aggressive. I think chairs were involved as well. Security probably could have got to have done it a little sooner, I would have thought, but they didn't. So hopefully there weren't too many injuries involved. But moving on back to Tyson, he's back out on the August 18th bill in Belfast. He has a link to his Irish heritage, so I think it'll be a fantastic opportunity for him to get out at Windsor Park.
Yeah, it'll be a terrific turnout that at Windsor Park. I like Frampton, I like Fury. It's a card that I'd really enjoy attending, but I won't attend. So yes, I hope he gets plenty of round under his belt.
Yeah, just little step-ups, one bit by bit. Build back his confidence and build back that ability. I don't want to, be too harsh to Ben Davidson, but I still believe that it'd be better if Fury had a trainer switch. What Ben has done for Fury has been nothing short of amazing, helping him beat depression and helping him lose that weight. It's been unbelievably good. However, as he steps up his opposition, I'd like him to have a slightly more experienced man in the corner. Somebody who won't let him get away with all the showboating and somebody who will keep him on the right track. Somebody like a Dominic Ingle. That's what I'd personally like. But yeah, step-ups by step-ups get better and better. August 18th being the next step on that particular road. And no rush to get in with brilliant opposition. I wouldn't mind if he just spent this year and the rest of 2019 just improving slowly but surely. What fans want is for him to make big step-ups too soon. I don't like that. A lot of casual fans have a very loose understanding of boxing. I mean, there was a lad, probably in his 50s, stood behind us going, you know who he should fight next? He should fight Dylan Whyte next. And that's because they don't have a good enough knowledge on heavyweights. Somebody like a Dylan Whyte would be far, far, far too big a risk at this stage. What we'd like is little step-ups, one at a time, and that is the way forward for Tyson.
Round after round's the way forward for Tyson Fury, and he will go forward, and hopefully at that elite level again.
Now, I was close to tears at the co-main event. Absolutely devastated. Manchester's own Terry Flanagan dropped a split decision loss to Maurice Hooker. Very sad for Terry, wasn't it?
It was. It was absolutely really awful, really. Terry Flanagan moving up in weight, trying to be a 2-weight world champion. Unfortunately, got it all wrong. Tactically, was pretty poor, really, and lost out to Maurice Hooker, who came from the States with pretty decent support and was game and got his just rewards.
Yeah, well done to Maurice. I believe he's entering the World Boxing Super Series at super lightweight, so good luck to him. You have to have a lot of bottle to go into that tournament amongst the world's best, so good luck in that. But yeah, it really did feel like it was going to be Terry's night, and I'm glad that he finally got the experience of the love from the fans, because that's something he's missed out on in his career. And he's really earned that. He's never quite had the support at these events. So finally, the cheering, the whole crowd chanting Turbo, they really got behind him and willed him on. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. Terry, I personally scored it 7-5 to Hooker. I thought he did enough, the American. But Flanagan really did try his best. He really did try and let his hands go. And in the 12th, he showed a hell of a lot of heart. He was struggling with a cut throughout the fight and managed to come through it. He really tried to get the victory, tried to get the stoppage in the 12th round, but it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, although he did hurt Hooker in the 6th, it wasn't enough. Terry has lost this time. The longest unbeaten run in British boxing is over, but I'm sure that another couple of fights and he can be right at world level again.
Absolutely, yeah. Ultimately, his tactics weren't brilliant before the cut. After the cut, slightly different, because when you've got a cut like that, you've got to have to look to trade. You've got to have to look to end the fight as early as possible. However, I just wanted Terry to get on his bike in the early couple of rounds, try and get into a rhythm, but he wanted to try and trade as early as possible, really, which was never going to end well against a puncher. So yeah, a decent enough performance from Flanagan, but we know he can perform a lot better than that.
Yeah, as Michael Benson tweeted last night, that performance against Diego Magdalena was special, and he's not quite been able to recapture the glory he had that night, so we hope that he can get his head back in the game and get back to that sort of form. And I believe, I don't want to criticise Steve Maylett too much because he's a very good coach, but it seemed in the build-up that he was severely underestimating Hooker. He kept saying, Hooker's not world level. That turned out to be wrong. You can't underestimate your opponent, especially when he's going to bring that extra little something for a world title. So hopefully that's a message for the future for that team. Gutted for Terry, but we'll see him again soon. Now the next fight that we're going to discuss, Nathan Gorman looked absolutely sensational against Sean Turner, didn't he?
Yeah, Turner, who's renowned for being durable, a good chin, but ultimately he got hit too many times, too hard punches. Nathan Gorman had ultimate success with this uppercut. It kept crashing into his chin, kept rocking back Turner's head, and ultimately the fight was never going to last long after the first round. Nathan Gorman, a fantastic performance.
Yep. I think the come-forward style of Sean Turner suited him down to the ground, and hopefully now, as the opponents begin to slowly but surely step up, we'll see the best of him, and who could write him off from causing some serious problems at a world level in a few years' time. Well done to Nathan, he was good. Any other undercard stuff you want to go for? There were some decent performances. Mark Heffron did well. JJ Metcalf got a win. But that's all really, isn't it? Any lasting comments on the night?
No, yeah, I had an entertaining night. I saw a couple of tweets about how people would be really awfully let down if they'd have bought a ticket. I'm not one of those. I was never expecting anything from the main event. Terry Flanagan not getting the win was a disappointing one, but he was a good fight all the same. And Nathan Gorman was extremely good. I thought the undercard was okay, absolutely fine. The opponent of Fury wasn't brilliant, but I didn't want anything good, so I can't complain about that. So yeah, a decent night in general.
Now moving up to the States and Las Vegas to be precise. Last week we told you the story about Jeff Horn, and we really do like Jeff, inspirational story, but we also said that the ask this weekend was just too much. Terence Crawford, absolutely sensational, brushed past Jeff Horn in just 9 rounds. He's now the WBO welterweight champion of the world. Where does Terence go from here?
Ultimately, Crawford's got to go into these huge fights. Errol Spence is a fight I'd love to see, and hopefully that's next.
Yeah, I hope we all would. What really shocked me, I thought at welterweight, Terence might be lacking in the strength department. You know, he's coming up to his 3rd weight division now. Horn, renowned for being a very strong, rough character. Crawford not only outboxed him on the back foot, not only outboxed him going forward, but threw him around like a ragdoll, which surprised me, which shows he does have the strength to compete with these welterweights. And this division is on fire. Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and now Terence Crawford. It's one of the best in the world, and I look forward to seeing all these men competing. But Terence seems to be the best, and could go down as one of the greatest of all time.
It's a fantastic weight division, and I can't wait for these shoes fights. And yes, Crawford is right up there, pound for pound for me, never mind in his own division.
Now the Santa Cruz Mares rematch took place. Another scintillating fight by the sounds of things. Santa Cruz extremely high work rate. Abner Mares is a slick boxer, but Santa Cruz got the nod once again. He proves why he's one of the very best featherweights in the world, and he called out Gary Russell after the fight, which I think would be an excellent fight. And he likes redemption because Gary actually beat Leo in the amateurs. And Jamel Charlo defeated Austin Trout via decision. We said that Jamel's on the up and Austin Trout's on the slide, so that result came as no shock, but well done to Jamel for increasing his stock. Now, we've got an absolutely sensational fight on July 28th. Dylan Whyte takes on Joseph Parker. Great fight, but firstly, Adam, there's been some controversy. We were sort of in the middle on this one, I believe. Is Joseph Parker, Dylan Whyte a pay-per-view fight?
Not for me personally, unless the card is fantastic. The fight on its own, no, probably not pay-per-view for me. I think if it was on Sky Sports, then the casual supporter would watch, really enjoy it, and hopefully start getting more into boxing. I think that could have been the main sort of way that Hearn could have gone about it. But no, okay, it's pay-per-view, which means hopefully the card is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm hearing rumblings of Kell Brook, Anthony Crolla, Callum Johnson, etc. So should be a good bill. And as he's not had to pay too much for the main, he'll have a bit of budget to spread around on the undercard fights. But anyway, in terms of the actual fight, who are you going with to win?
Personally, I believe the fight goes the distance, and therefore White gets the decision on a matchroom card.
Does he deserve it?
We'll see. I personally believe Parker's the better fighter.
Yeah.
However, I don't know. I won't be surprised to see White win at all.
I personally think Parker's the better fighter. I believe he showed a lot more than we thought he had in that Joshua fight in terms of his defence. I thought it was leaky until then, but it looked good that particular night. But he is lacking the momentum, obviously coming off a loss, and he's got minimal time to prepare. Dylan White, it's in his hometown. He's coming off a huge win over Lucas Brown, where he looked the best he's ever done. So the momentum's definitely with Dillian. So right now, maybe slide towards Dill, but Joseph Parker is an extremely good fighter and could definitely win this. It's a real 50-50 fight, a real heavyweight classic, and it's good to see that fighters are taking risks and fighting the best.
Yeah, well, for me, Parker needs to take the fight because Parker needs to win, especially on British shores. It'll be a good payday for him. White needs to win to get onto that world level. So yeah, it's a great fight for both men.
Yeah, now moving on to another Australasian heavyweight. Lucas Brown, unfortunately, this week has been revealed by Ricky Hatton, maybe inappropriately, that Lucas was dealing with depression after the Ruslan Shagiev fight. Of course, that night was absolutely incredible. It was a rocky story. Lucas came in, not many people giving him a chance, but he shocked everybody when he dropped Ruslan Shagiev in the 10th round and picked up the WBA title. Unfortunately, though, there was issues with drugs testing. Basically, Lucas was spiked, is the story a lot of us believe. And of course, our greatest sympathies are with Lucas as he battles his demons.
Absolutely, yeah.
All support in the world to Lucas, and hopefully he can get back to some sort of decent level. So anyway, Newcastle is hosting Eddie Hearn's first fight night in a very long time. Josh Kelly versus Chris George for the Commonwealth title. Lewis Ritson takes on Paul Highland Jr. for the British title. And McDonnell takes on Hall. So a reasonably decent trade fight for Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, decent new. Lewis Ritson is the future. So yeah, it'd be good to see Ritson go home to Newcastle and hopefully put on a show.
Now, Joe Joyce is back on Friday night, the heavyweight prospect at Haymaker. He takes on Richard Larty, who's 12-1, and it's good to see Joe Joyce being active and fighting fighters with a winning record so early in his career.
Yeah, it's good to see a young man calling out these sorts of experienced heavyweights as well. So yeah, all the best to Joe Joyce, and he will win.
Yeah, I agree. So in slightly saddening news to close the boxing section of the show, Dean Francis was a fighter who, if he had not developed terminal cancer, could have really shocked the box. Well, could have really reached his full potential and become a world champion. Joe Calzaghe said he's the best fighter, in fact, he's ever seen to not raise a title himself. And unfortunately, at the age of 40, his battle with cancer was lost. Our greatest sympathies go towards his family and friends at this saddening time. And Brendan Ingle, unfortunately, as well, the Winkerbank trainer, a man who's trained the likes of Junior Witter and Nassim Hamed. He passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 77. One of the best of all time, Brendan?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. A great stable. So rest in peace to Brendan and to Dean Francis.
Yeah. Interesting fact. Did you know that that Brendan's Winkerbank Dream actually started off as a dance club?
I didn't know that, no.
No.
Peter could become a boxing trainer.
Peter Mounsey, yeah.
PM's dance.
Yeah, he's always had that sort of inner combat star in him, I believe, Peter Mounsey.
Yeah,
but anyway.
The inner aggression to want to punch someone in the face.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to Brendan, ran a dance club for a while, so I heard this earlier in the week. And obviously kids in Sheffield were getting in trouble, so he changed it up to a boxing gym. Brendan, a lot of the work that he's done is very unknown. As he helped a lot of kids in the local areas who would have gone down the wrong path and steered them on the right path. So a lot of adults today owe a lot to Brendan Ingle. And he also showed how much he can do for somebody's mental state. Johnny Nelson often struggled with nerves in the build-ups to his fight, and Brendan helped him through that. A truly great man, and rest in peace.
Absolutely.
And his legacy will be carried on by his son and great trainer, Dominic Ingle. Anyway, moving on to the cricket. You rung me in absolute despair as Scotland took victory over England.
Yes, an absolutely incredible game at the Grange. Scotland, incredible with the bat, 371. A really remarkable knock from McLeod, and Kurtzer got them off to a great start. England always looked like they were going to canter to victory. A great ton from Bairstow, cameos from Hale's Root, and Plunkett was not out at the end, but Scotland got 10 wickets, something England couldn't do, and won by 6 runs. A relatively dark day for English cricket, however, a fantastic day for Scotland, fantastic day for the Associate Nations, and the fact that the ICC have reduced the amount of World Cup teams to 10 is an absolute disgrace, and today's evidence shows why. Disgusting.
And how did Penwitham CC teams get on over the weekend?
Yeah, tough weekend. Every team that was fielded this weekend was defeated. But we go again next week.
Yep. Always keep up that fantastic attitude, because if you don't believe, then you're nothing.
Spot on.
Yep. Anyway, moving on to the mixed martial arts, we had an absolutely sensational card over the weekend in Chicago for the first time on pay-per-view. I'm going to kick off with the main event. Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero. A rematch of an extremely good fight last July in Vegas. And firstly, saddening note, Yoel Romero missed weight for the second time. He tried to make weight, but unfortunately the commission cut him too early, so when he thought he had an hour left to go. But he was struggling to get on the scales, really struggling to get on the scales, could barely walk, and he had to be helped out the arena by a couple of people because he simply couldn't walk himself. So I don't want to give Yoel Romero too much stick because it generally seemed like he couldn't make it. Who I am going to give stick to is the UFC for 2 reasons. He missed fight for the Luke Rockhold fight, so he never should have got another opportunity in the middleweight division. And secondly, there needs to be more weight divisions in the UFC. The gaps in between each weight division are about 15 pounds, and it's simply too big. The difference in boxing weight categories tends to be about 4 or 5 pounds. So they are much more healthy on the scales. UFC fighters have to cut way too much weight. And ultimately, Adam, it's very damaging from the health for fighters having to cut such a huge amount.
It is, absolutely. However, that didn't stop it from being what I believe to be a fantastic fight, because I've watched the highlights.
Yeah, it was absolutely sensational. Robert started very well, as expected. I believe he's the future of this division, as I've said for multiple times. He held Romero back. He was jabbing in for fun, landing kicks, landing punches, landing elbows. Very easy couple of first 2 rounds for Rob. Yoel looked like he was really struggling due to that weight cut, but he managed to see the first couple of rounds through. Not really doing a lot, taking shots. And then boom, in the 3rd round, he dropped Robert Whittaker, and Robert seriously looked in trouble, but he managed to survive. And he also landed a couple of decent head kicks himself. So well done to Rob for showing that huge courage. 4th round, Robert really was limited to just one hand, his left. He actually broke the right in the 1st round. So tremendous courage for Rob to keep going throughout that adversity. And in the 5th, if Rob stayed on his feet, he was probably going to get the decision. But Yoel dropped him and dropped him bad and was hurting him throughout the round. Yoel looked extremely close to getting Robert Whittaker out of there. But it wasn't to be. Robert made it to the final bell. Showed immense courage and ability. Well done to him. And it shows that not only is he a slick operator, he's also got the bottle to compete at this level and in intense fights. Personally, I thought the fight was a draw. I gave 3 rounds to Rob, 2 rounds to Yoel, but the last round for me was a 10-8, so I thought it was a draw. But Robert maintains his world title, and he'll be looking for fights with the likes of Chris Weidman, Kelvin Gastelum, to compete for that middleweight belt. So well done to Rob. Truly brilliant performance. He's the future of this division, so hopefully he can keep reeling off the wins and knocking people down. As for Yoel, for health's sake, he's got to move up, hasn't he?
He does. If it's a draw in UFC, does the champion keep his title?
The champion keeps his title, yeah.
Okay.
Co-main event, Rafael dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. And unlike the main event, I didn't predict the main event. Well, I did technically predict the main event right because Robert kept on his belt. But the co-main event, I predicted wrong. I said that Rafael dos Anjos was going to have a bit too much experience for Colby Covington, but that wasn't the case at all. Colby proved that he is in fact world level. He attacked Rafael straight away, completely out-wrestled him, dismantled him on the floor, and basically won a landslide decision. I believe I gave Rafael a round. Colby was all over him, way too big, way too strong, and he'll be fighting Tyron Woodley next, which is an extremely interesting fight. Colby, an extremely good wrestler, but Tyron has the wrestling to match him. He also has one-punch knockout power, which Rafael didn't have, so Colby will have to be worried about that. But the advantage I believe Colby has is that he's got extremely good cardio, whereas Tyron, with all that muscle mass, tends to gas down the stretch. So, decent fight. We'd probably lean slightly towards Tyron now, but it's definitely up in the air. Colby can definitely compete. And it turns out that not only is he talking the talk, he can actually walk the walk. But somebody he struggled to talk the talk with was in his argument with Bisping post-fight. Colby was interviewed after by Bisping and the rest of the Fox Sports desk, and he took on one of the best in the trash talking game and came up short, unfortunately, on this attempt. Bisping was running circles around him. Colby brought up the eye, which was a bit below the belt, a bit unnecessary, and really irrelevant to the conversation. Bisping held his head and managed to mug Colby off at every step. A few, just a bit too... There's levels to this game, just like fighting in the trash talking department, and Bisping took Colby apart, and Colby looked a bit Basel just wasn't able to live with the count on this occasion. So he needs to up his trash talking game if he's going to compete amongst the elite in that particular field. Anyway, the next fight, Holly Holm beat Megan Anderson. She was being lined up as a fight for Chris Cyborg. Now that's not going to happen, as Holly Holm completely dismantled her and is making another run at the 135 belt. Tai Tuivasa defeated the veteran Andrei Arlovsky. Tai looked really good, really big Australian. A young campaigner who could well be one of the best fighters in the division in the not too distant future. He did well, and it's always good to see prospects taking chances. Now a fight, Adam, that you probably were the most interested on this card. CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. CM Punk didn't win, but well done to him for getting to a decision.
Yes, well done to CM Punk for lasting the rounds. I can't say I was overly interested in the fight. However, I just want Punk to go back to WWE. He's clearly not particularly good at hurting other people.
No, it was the worst standard fight I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. On a serious note, the people at Manchester Arena had better technique. I've got to be honest.
I bet his walkout's good though.
His walkout's class, cult of personality in Chicago.
There you go.
CM Punk.
Yeah.
Now, very surprisingly, although none of the judges gave him it, I actually thought CM Punk won the first round. He landed a couple of shots. He actually got a takedown as well, so I believed he won the round. Mike Jackson took the next two relatively comfortably, completely outboxed CM Punk, who seemed completely gassed during the second round, didn't have any energy left to give. Unfortunately, CM Punk not quite good enough for the UFC. He's not like a Brock Lesnar, who had a wrestling background at high standard before coming into the UFC. CM Punk literally has no background. He's in his late 30s, and he's not a natural athlete who can just pick things up. So this is definitely not the place for him to be. And it's also definitely not the place for Mike Jackson to be. Adam, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit different than WWE for CM Punk though, because like in WWE you can do a move and then lay on the floor for a bit to regain your energy. Hence why he's potentially not as fit as other fighters. Hence why he gassed, maybe. I'm just sort of
putting it out there.
I'm just speculating, but yeah.
Well, let's not forget that this man's a former WWE champion, a former ECW champion, a former tag team champion, and a man who's headlined WrestleMania. So he's certainly got the credentials.
He's not mugging the squared circle.
No, absolutely not, but he is. In actual fact, he's not great. But the story's still good, you know. He's ignoring what people are saying, and he's following something that he enjoys doing. My advice would be that he moves to a slightly different organisation. Bellator's an extremely high standard also, but they are willing to match people very easily in terms of marketing, like we're seeing with Aaron Chalmers at the moment. So they could take CM Punk, and I'd like to see him make a career there.
Yeah, I take it that Mike Jackson will get another UFC opportunity.
Hopefully not, because he's abysmal.
Well, yeah, but like...
On my life, I could out-grapple Mike Jackson.
He's got a decent record in UFC, don't he?
1-1.
1-1. You take it. You take it.
I'd take a 1-1 record in the UFC.
I'd take it as well at heavyweight. So.
You win some, you lose some.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'd like Mike Jackson to get cut because he's also not of the correct standard. Now, somebody who unfortunately is of the correct standard, but Father Time is catching up, and that's Alistair Overeem. Curtis Blades, the wrestler, took him down relatively comfortably twice in both the opening rounds. Alistair landed a couple of decent strikes, but it wasn't enough. Curtis once again got him down the third and finished Alistair with elbows to the face. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Right between the eyes, blood spurting everywhere.
Yeah, I thought Alistair took 3 too many. I thought it was a late stoppage.
It was a late stoppage. And the blood came after the stoppage ought to have been done.
Yeah. Stipe Miocic put Alistair Overeem to sleep with punches to the face. You've seen the uppercut Francis Ngannou landed on Alistair Overeem, haven't you? Yeah. That's a bad one. Yeah. This one this weekend was another horrific knockout.
Was he unconscious though? I don't think he was unconscious, was he, Overeem?
I don't know, but it was very bad.
Yeah. It's
time for me, he's a good operator, but it's time for Alistair to call it a day. His health is more important.
Absolutely. Especially in UFC, if you're getting cleaned up, like KO after KO, it's time to go. I mean, he'll be alright for life, money-wise.
Oh, yeah,
so there's no need to step into acting.
Yeah, call it a day, Alistair. Your health's more important. But Curtis Blade goes on, and he's closing in on a world title shot. So, good luck to him. And maybe, the champions in that division, Stipe, could be retiring soon, so there might be an opening for Curtis in the not-too-distant future. Anyway, next, Sergio Pettis got a split decision over Jose Benavidez, and he'll be in line shortly for Demetrious Johnson, you'd imagine. And now I'm going to rant about Demetrious. He's taken on Henry Cejudo for the second time at UFC 227. He's beaten Henry before in the first round, beat him very easily a couple of years ago. Demetrious Johnson constantly complains that he doesn't get the treatment that he deserves off the UFC, complains that he's not a draw. The reason that you're not a draw, Demetrious, is that you won't fight anyone of an half-decent level. The TJ Dillashaw fight was a super fight, a champion versus champion fight, and you have bottled it, sir. This is why nobody cares about you, nobody's interested, because you're only interested in fighting people that are below your level. The fact that you are even mentioned among the GOATs in this game is disgusting when, despite the fact you have the longest winning streak in the UFC, it's against limited opposition, and this is why you don't get the respect off fans. If you'd have fought TJ, then you'd have had a Hall of Fame career, but unfortunately for you, you just don't quite have the bollocks to step up amongst the best. You're sort of like a school bully who picks on young children, and then when somebody slightly harder stands up to him, you bottle it. So, very frustrated with Demetrious, and this is why you are the co-main event to TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt, because they're willing to fight the best. You're not, sir. And
so why are you not respected by people?
I'm respected in the podcast game.
Because you use the word GOAT.
The greatest of all time. Yes. So yeah, that was rant over and Demetrious. Not happy with him. And yeah, no interest in his career. This is why he's the co-main event slot, despite being one of the pound-for-pound best. And that is the end of UFC talk. Now moving on. It's been far too long since we've covered the WWE.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Yeah.
We've not done it in a while.
And it's Money in the Bank this weekend. Now I'm going to start with the women's contest. Ember Moon, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Lana, Naomi and Sasha Banks. Who are you picking? I'm assuming it's Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I don't know half of them actually, but I would go for the Queen. It will be Charlotte Flair, surely. If WWE have anything about them, then Charlotte Flair will always be the champion.
Yeah, Natalya, another good operator in there. Becky Lynch, a half-decent operator. And Alexa,
who's that? Who's Becky Lynch?
The Irish one with ginger hair.
Don't remember.
You'd know her if you saw her. Probably. She opened the Women's Royal Rumble. Anyway, yeah, Alexa Bliss as well, a high flyer. She's a very good operator. And another former world champion. Now, the man's Money in the Bank. Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Kofi Kingston, I believe.
Right.
Who wins that contest?
Hopefully The Miz or Kevin Owens. I like them both.
Yeah, The Miz, a veteran of this game. Let's not forget that he's a former winner of that particular contest.
It would be absolutely fantastic to see The Miz back at that elite level. I think he's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And Kofi always provides thrills in the Money in the Bank matches. He always seems to go for the most complicated possible method to pick up the contract, which is probably not why he's never won it. He'd rather use 2 ladders to climb up than 1.
Yeah. Has he come out of that weird New Day stuff yet or not?
I don't know, but that seriously needs to stop because he's still of a good level.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, next fight. I can't believe this rivalry's been dragged on as long as it has. Styles versus Nakamura again. Who wins? Why? Are you interested?
I'm not overly interested, but I like Nakamura's ring entrance, so he wins.
Right, fair enough. Moving on next. And for me, this is far too early. Ronda Rousey said she wanted to gather the respect of WWE fans, but in only a second match, she's already challenging for a world title. Oof. And as Ronda somebody who doesn't take losing particularly well, I assume she'll be taking the victory over Nia Jax. And it's a disgrace that she's getting it this early for me.
Yeah, I don't think she'd beat Nia Jax in an octagon, and she ought not to beat Nia Jax in the squared circle. She's far bigger, far stronger, and far superior. So surely Nia Jax wins that. You can't win title in
your second
fight
fight.
Number 2.
She's never even had a singles
outrageous
match. Tell you what's bizarre for me, this WWE thing, they've pulled the trigger way too soon on Ronda. I'd have built her for at least a year before giving her a world title match.
Yes, and she ought to get a world title match at WrestleMania if they've got anything about them on the grandest stage of them all.
Yeah, too early, far too early. Anyway, the next fight, Women's Championship, Carmella, the woman who dethroned Charlotte Flair, is taking on Asuka, who was unbeaten until she was beaten by said Charlotte Flair. I assume they've been trying to build Asuka for a while. I assume she wins the world title this weekend.
You'd imagine so.
Next, Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal. I'm assuming you're behind your good friend Jinder.
Yeah, I don't like Roman Reigns, and Jinder Mahal's okay. He's quite good looking. So I'll go with Jinder Mahal.
And that is your good looking male comment of the week. Well done to you.
Okay.
Bludgeon Brothers versus Gallows and Anderson. What a ridiculous contest.
Gallows and Anderson.
Bobby Lashley should absolutely hammer Sami Zayn if they've got anything about them.
If he doesn't, then I'll never watch wrestling again.
And Seth Rollins versus Elias. Seth.
Please don't say that's the main.
That's the and the main I believe is the ladder match. I'm just going through what's on the card.
Okay. Yeah, that would be an awful main event. Elias is okay with the guitar, isn't he? So
walk with Elias.
Yeah.
And then finally Daniel Bryan back once again. And if he doesn't hammer Big Cass into the ground, then there's something seriously wrong with not just wrestling, but the world.
Big Cass has made a main event.
He's not a main event, he's just on the card.
Oh, right, sorry.
Taking on Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan will destroy Big Cass.
Now moving on. Our closing topic from this week, and this will be probably the closing for the next 8 weeks. We've had a full week now of Love Island. So we've got a chance to get to know them. Last week we were giving our initial impressions of them all. Who are you into so far in regards to which sort of lads you're getting behind, which sort of girls you'd potentially couple up with, etc.?
I quite like Niall, but the facial expressions are starting to grind on my gears. The accent's not brilliant either. I like Alex, the A&E doctor. He's really cool. I don't actually mind Eyal. I know he's a bit sort of spiritual, but he's okay.
I'm a really deep thinker.
Yeah, yes.
A really deep thinker indeed, yes.
Yeah. With regards to women, I rarely burst out crying at TV. However,
Kendall.
When Kendall departed, I absolutely was in floods of tears.
Yeah, my view on the whole thing, I can't stand Niall. I think he's probably a nice lad, but he's doing my head in. I've got chat. I've got chat.
You know, I've got his chat.
Adam, you've got the body, but I've got the chat. I actually don't believe he has any chat, to be honest.
Well, I suppose if you were in there, he's one of the people who I'd prefer to get along with. I don't want to be talking like awful dry banter all day.
Yeah, he says like every other word as well, which he's doing my head in.
Annoying.
And he needs to stop talking about rainbow fish in Adam's body.
Yes. But on the whole, he's okay.
Yeah. A man who's getting a lot of stick, Adam.
Boring.
But Adam was close to pulling off the master plan. This genius nearly came up with this idea. He had the unbelievable initiative to take Kendall off Niall, so Niall could get with Georgia. Then he dropped Kendall so he could get with Rosie, leading Eyal to get with Kendall, which would have meant that Hayley would have been dumped from the island. But Eyal ruined it and picked Hayley. What was he thinking?
Yeah, if you're wondering, James thinks far too much about TV programmes. However, what I got thinking about was the fact that the producers have got it awfully wrong. Eyal should have been the last pick. Adam should have picked that Welsh bird, and then Eyal had the pick Kendall or Haley. The fact that Haley has given him the cold shoulder for a week, hasn't made any effort to get to know him, and then Eyal's there, I'm picking this girl because she's got beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
Sort your life out!
He knew full well that she had no interest as well. She was saying, I would like to get to know you, all that sort of shit. And she's sort of like, it's like broken down scales, like each word she said was like, like that type thing.
Yeah.
So, really annoying, don't like Haley. Eyal knew she was fake and still picked her. Very bizarre. And Kendall was a nice person, so I would have liked to see her stay in the villa a little longer.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to Kendall's shoe store and condole her.
Yeah, you must seriously rate if you're willing to go to Blackpool.
No, I like Kendall. I thought she was a likeable person.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken.
Who else is there to analyse? Samira, not a huge fan.
No, she's a bit sort of, up her own arse sort of thing. Not overly keen on Samira.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I quite like Alex, and I hope that he finds love at some point.
Absolutely. And hopefully, Alex and Samira can go all the way. So unless
having no interest with each other whatsoever.
Having no interest, but keep picking each other because they sort of want to stay in the competition. If I wanted a pair to win it now, it'd be Alex and Samira. Yeah. Surely. All the way, just go all the way. Completely shit out the process.
And a controversial coupling. I can't believe they're not seeing it in the villa. How big a gold digger that air hostess is. She had no interest whatsoever. Laura had no interest whatsoever in Wes until she found out that he spent $1,000 on a date, and then she was all over him.
Yeah, I've not read too much into that. I just think they've become more attracted to each other as the days have gone on. So good luck to them too. I think Wes is okay actually.
I think Jack and Danny are an alright couple. Quite like them.
Yes, I like that. And that pair, charismatic from Essex. They tend to be likeable, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the accent, but I think it's people, they're alright, so yeah, quite like them. Have we gone... we've spoken about Rosie. Georgia, I quite liked her at first, but then I watched After Sun, as I watch all of Love Island, and she's a regular cheater.
Oh, is she?
So, can't get behind that. As we said, we don't like adultery.
Slag.
And not even Peter Barlow can get away with that in our books.
No.
And that is everyone, I believe, isn't it? I think so.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And Caroline Flack is coupled up with Andrew Brady from The Apprentice. What a terrible pull for Caroline.
You what?
And
You're joking?
Yeah, the lad who was in a Big Brother, who was getting with Courtney/Shane J.
I'm not happy with that.
No, neither am I.
Bloody hell, Caroline. She's got even looking as all slime.
Yeah. So, that is all, I believe, this week on Love Island. We will be expressing our views on the programme next week.
So stay tuned
for this incredible show. Anyway, to close off, come on England, to play us out, it's coming home.
3 Lions.
On the shirt.
Jules Rimet still gleaming. Goodbye.
Everyone seems to know the score. Well, they've seen it all before. They just know they're so sure that England's gonna throw it away, gonna blow it away. But I know they can play, 'cause I remember 3 lines on the shirt. Jules and Mr. Gleaming. No, my ears have heard so many jokes, so many sneers, but all those awesome years weighed down through the years. But I still see that stack about more, and when they hit the score, Bobby down in the ball, and Bobby dancing 3 lines on the shirt. then, but it could be again. It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming